Hey guys, welcome back. I've decided I'm allowed to talk about Spy again. Some people still think he has bad weapons, and I'm not gonna stand for that. Today, I'm gonna prove the world wrong and talk about why you should be using the Enforcer and the red tape recorder. The Enforcer is a ton of fun to use, but it can hardly be called OP. A slower firing speed is basically the only downside this thing has, but it can feel downright sluggish if you're used to stock. I mean, look at this. But the firing speed is only a downside if you treat Spy's revolver as purely a desperation fallback item. Alright guys, I'm going to say something a little bit crazy, so hold on to your seats. Spy shouldn't always be invisible or disguised, and he shouldn't only use his knife to get kills. The revolver does insane damage when you land all your shots, and so does the Enforcer. It's just that the Enforcer puts out that damage more slowly, but that can actually help you. A slower firing speed reduces the tendency to spam wildly and encourages Spies to place their shots carefully, only firing when they are sure to hit somebody. The best way to play Spy is to constantly swap between a sneaky infiltrator that backstabs enemies and sabotages buildings, and a frontlines gunfighter that contributes significant chunks of single shot damage from unexpected places. I think people get kind of distracted by how shiny backstabs are, and as such treat the revolver as a disposable item for emergencies only, or worse, never pull it out at all. The Enforcer heavily benefits from using this playstyle because you can put out over 125 damage in just 2 shots if you position yourself correctly. It matches well with the stock Inviswatch and Cloak and Dagger especially, since choosing your moment is what makes this approach work. The Enforcer is not just for two-shotting Razorback snipers, guys. It's a solid, dependable sidearm that can see you through many tough fights. But let's talk about this thing's other upside for a minute. Apparently, Spy has been buying adamantium-tipped bullets because the Enforcer's shots go through anything. Wrangler shields, vaccinator bubbles, fists of steel resistance, you name it. Most of the time, if somebody has low health and pops a Vax shield, you can't do anything but tickle them. Not with the Enforcer. Being able to penetrate all resistances doesn't actually come up all that often, but man, it is so sweet when it does. If you get in the habit of disguising frequently, the Enforcer basically ensures that the first shot you fire will always do more damage, and that can often be enough to win the fight. It isn't always good. The Enforcer struggles against multiple opponents, and the Ambassador and Diamondback both fulfill a similar niche, although one takes more skill and the other is only sometimes powerful. But the Enforcer flies under the radar. Not as flashy as a headshot or as obnoxious as a Diamondback crit, but a solid, dependable option that only doesn't work when you have no control over the situation. But let's rewind for a minute. The Enforcer isn't the only item I mentioned. That's right, we're doing double duty today, and I have had it with the red tape recorder slander. No, it is not awful. It only seems that way if you play like an idiot. The red tape recorder is Spy's only sapper unlock. It does no damage to buildings, instead reversing their construction, downgrading them until they eventually unbuild themselves. Okay, why is this helpful? Well, let's say you run into an engineer's nest being guarded by a pyro. Backstabbing pyros isn't always hard, but when a pyro is specifically looking out for Spies and flame checking every teammate who walks by, it's a problem. Sapping the buildings with stock does nothing, as the pyro will kill you and knock off the sapper. But using the RTR, you can sap the building, and even if you die, by the time the pyro knocks off the sapper, it will have de-leveled the building at least one time, forcing the engineer to stop whatever else he was doing and re-upgrade it. In this situation, the RTR accomplishes far more than the stock ever could. Disabling and de-leveling buildings is always a good move when you're dealing with a massive nest you could never hope to destroy by yourself. Not to mention, it wastes the engineer's time, which is crucial to helping your team take them out. Engineer is most powerful when he's got a nest ready, so everything you can do to stall him, like forcing him to constantly go back to fix his downgraded dispenser, stealing ammo packs, or just stabbing him, is always worth it. The stock sapper is faster, sure, but the sooner you destroy an engineer's building, the sooner he can rebuild it. What if an engineer is far from his nest, realizes his stuff is being sapped, and decides to abandon it, running off to the next spot to build his nest? That's a common thing to do. In that situation, the RTR will force him to wait far longer to build new buildings, since it takes more than double the time for the sapper to finish destroying them. And remember, engineers cannot manually destroy sapped buildings, so he has to just sit there and wait, hearing that obnoxious sapper alarm in his ears for many seconds at a time. The RTR does so much mental damage, it's great. The fact that the RTR is slower is a good thing, man. It does everything a sapper needs to do, disables buildings so your team can break them, and so much more. It wastes time and makes nests less powerful. Stock Tapper is fine, it's a fantastic tool, but make no mistake, the RTR is a brilliant side grade, and anyone who says differently is bad at spy, period. That's all. Like, subscribe, and get out. Video's over.